Good morning, welcome back to Clear Lake Fishing TV. It's a nice fall morning. Got about a third of my rod locker out here. Let's see what we got. We got a fluke, LV500, underspin, dark sleeper, and some various finesse baits. We're gonna see if we can figure this fall bite out. Let's go fishing. Alright, so what am I thinking for this fall morning? I'm thinking that even though it's been in the 90s for the past week, and will continue to be in the 90s all this week, it was still 47 degrees this morning. And these fish are probably feeding up, getting ready for this winter. So I'm thinking they're going to be keying in on bait fish, and they're going to have them corralled up in the backs of pockets if they can. So I'm going to start there. And the water's still 69 degrees this morning, but that's more than 10 degrees cooler than it was the last time I was out here. I'm pretty excited about this fall bite, not going to lie. Because when I was out here in late July, I was driving the struggle bus. In full transparency, I had days where I skunked. I just couldn't make any videos for y'all. I'd want to take y'all fishing on a skunk day. So I was a little discouraged, and I figured I'd wait for fall to set in. I've been fishing the heck out of Southern Oregon. My boy and I went out to a local Southern Oregon lake about 5 days ago. And no joke, we got about 150 fish in 4 hours. Those are just great days, especially when you got your son with you. So as I'm working my way to the back of the pocket, and I'm in 11 feet of water, I figured I'd throw that frog a little bit. I'm seeing some surface activity. This frog might be a little big. In fall, I like to fish a smaller frog. We'll give it a couple more casts and see what happens. Oh, I just saw a little bait fish jump. Switching to my underspin. What I gotta figure out is what size the bait fish are so I know what to throw. Went and got my mussel stickers this morning, and it reminded me that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so do your part to save the boobies, fellas. Early detection is key. It's been 2 months since I've been out on Clear Lake, and the anticipation of a bite is absolutely palpable. Is this a different class of fish out here? I've been doing a fair amount of catching, but not Clear Lake catching. Boy, we got about a foot visibility out here. Not awesome. Tempted to pick up that LV, even though it's so quiet out here. Wishing and hoping and dreaming and praying for the thump. Cool thing about fall, or the horrible thing about fall, depending on if you find them or not, is that the fish tend to school up again like they did in the spring, getting ready for winter. So if you find one, you probably found a bunch. You got to work that area real carefully and pick it apart. But if you don't find them, well, you get a lot of casting practice. And while most of us would benefit from more casting practice, it's a lot cooler to get that practice while you're catching. Oh, there was one. He caught me ill prepared. Oh, come on. Started pouring my own baits. Made myself this little dragonfly. What do you call that, a larva? Oh, whatever it is before it sprouts wings and leaves the water. Let's see how finessey these fish want to be. Injecting plastics is pretty fun. I'm still trying to figure out some good color recipes. I've had some disasters for sure. But I had some newly acquired space in my garage, so I built myself a little bait making station. I got Senkos and a bunch of other finesse bait molds. Different kinds of swim baits, because that's about my favorite to fish. A couple bottles of dye, a couple little jars of flake. Gallon of plastic, see what I can learn. So I got some good mileage on this Ultrex now, and I've learned a few things. Primarily, as much as spot lock is a game changer and I absolutely love it, there's times you don't want to use it. And conditions like I'm in right now are when you don't want to use it. What you need is a little bit of current or a little bit of wind that's attempting to move your boat so spot lock can keep it in place. In the absence of that, your spot lock tries to keep you in the same place and it starts fighting itself. I don't know how else to describe it, but it ends up making such an obnoxious amount of noise. It just runs and runs and runs and turns and runs and turns and turns and runs. Ugh, it's maddening. And in quiet conditions like this, all that noise, no bueno. So even if I find a good spot in conditions like this, I manually try and keep myself there on a very, very slow speed so I'm making the least amount of noise possible. I've come up with a couple of issues too. And again, I have to preface this by saying that the Ultrex has been a game changer. So happy I did it. Very solid investment in my fishing. But it's got a couple problems. One of which is I got a bad power switch on this thing, which as I started looking into it, turns out that's a fairly common thing. But I'll have it in the off position and it'll just turn itself on. Powered up, still in the off position. So I was working in the garage last week and I was going insane wondering which one of my neighbors was making this obnoxious beeping noise for the last 4 hours. Turns out it's my Ultrex powering on, powering off, powering on, powering off. And it absolutely drained one of my batteries and got the other down to about 2.5 volts. Thankfully it didn't destroy the battery. So I got a new switch on order, it's on the way, but for now I just disconnected the main power connection. My other issue, which it turns out is pretty common, is that I'll push the momentary switch to activate the prop, and then I'll let the momentary switch go to deactivate the prop. And that prop, well, she just keeps on spinning. And you gotta clicky, 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 bang, 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 tap, tap, tap until you can get it to finally stop. Turns out, another common issue. And that one's gonna be a little bit of an adjustment. And what I'm gonna do is get in there and figure that out. And I'm gonna make a video for y'all so that if you have that issue, you'll have not only the confidence, but almost the previous experience of just knowing how to do it. So like I say, I got a switch coming. Hopefully it'll be home when I get home from this trip. And we'll get this thing back to ship shape. While we're on the topic of the Ultrex, its foot pedal design, you know, the spot lock is easy to hit. The north facing button, well, I don't use it, but it's fairly easy to hit too, I guess, because I do it on accident now and again. What I was struggling with was the button that keeps your prop on, like the constant on button. It was so flat, it was almost like recessed. And the way it sits in my tray, I was always trying to like stab my toe into it, but I got a wide foot, so usually the toe box on my shoes is fairly wide. So I found a super simple solution, and you might have it sitting in a junk drawer and you can just go stick it on and in 2 seconds you're gonna have the problem fixed. But my fix is this. You put one of those silicone bumpers right on the top of the pad, super easy to hit, all right? Even with a wide toe box on your shoe, super easy. Probably 10,000 guys already figured that out, but if you haven't thought of it yet, thought I'd share. There we go. Let's see what we got. All right. There we go. Small one. But he's healthy. Yeah. All right. There he goes. Something like extra special about catching a fish on a bait you made. Catching fish is cool. Catching fish on baits you made, man, just a little cooler. A little cooler. Okay, skunk's off the boat. I just swallowed a bug. Work. It's sitting right on my tonsils. Well, typical of GoPros in the heat, my camera's shut down. We found a few fish, a couple on an underspin, a couple on Ned rig, big old catfish on an LV 500. All in all, not a bad day for the first day out here. Bet I can find them a little better tomorrow. See ya.